Welcome to today's video, and today I will be talking about how to do easy bar curls on the preacher for hypertrophy. So in this video I will share my technique considerations, and then at the end of the video I will show you one working set how to do everything in practice. So if you are talking about the preacher curls, they have a bad reputation. There are a couple of videos floating around in the internet where people are tearing their biceps tendon from the bone. So we must address the issue whether it's really a dangerous exercise. And then we have a major misconception that the preacher is a shortened biased lift. So we are working here the biceps, and to understand why this is not a shortened biased lift, on the contrary, it's a lengthened biased lift, we must just look at the anatomy of the biceps itself on the preacher and look where the peak resistance is in the lift. So here I have my biceps, and if I'm flexing here at the elbow, then the muscle is shortened. So the muscle is in a shortened position, and if I'm extending here, then the biceps is lengthened. So here, shortened, lengthened. Now we must look at the preacher where will be the peak resistance. The common misconception is that here on the preacher the elbows will be in front. So the elbows are placed in front, and then people assume that this is a shortened biased lift because the range of motion is here decreased. But if you look now at the preacher, for example, I'm doing here the inside close grip, and if I am shortening my biceps, so here the biceps is flexed, shortened, and I have no resistance here. So I can hold this position all day long, nothing is happening here. Only when I'm lowering the bar, then as I lower it deeper and deeper, the biceps, as you see, are lengthening and the resistance is increasing. So actually the most difficult part of the preacher is when the biceps are fully lengthened. So hence this lift, the preacher curl, is lengthened biased, not shortened biased. I did make a video about the spider curl. So on the spider curl you see that at the bottom there is no resistance. The resistance only increases when you are curling up. So the spider curl is a shortened biased lift, but the preacher is a lengthened biased lift. So now that we have cleared up the misconception, we must talk about whether this exercise is really that dangerous. You have to understand that this is not a biceps tear, not of the muscle itself. It's when the tendon detaches here from your elbow joint. The same principle when you are doing the bench press, you are tearing here not your pec muscle, but your tendon tears here off the bone. So same principles apply here. So point number one is looking at the angle of the preacher. Then I'm setting up the preacher, I want it to have a very steep angle. So here I have set it at the lowest position, but I can set it also to other positions. So here, for example, I have increased the angle, and as you see now, my elbows are even more higher. And if I would be performing here the preacher, then it just feels awkward. So once again, I am lowering here, and then I can already feel that there is a lot of tension here on the tendon. So you don't want to do this. You want to decrease the angle on the preacher as much as possible. So once again I return to the original position, and here you can see how much steeper it is. And now it's much more comfortable to performing here the preacher curls. You can use either the inside grip, so the more narrower one, and do the curls like this, or you can perform the outside grip where the elbows will be a little bit wider and your grip wider, and you can perform the curls like this. So it's personal preference. It will target a little bit of different portions of the biceps. If you are using an inside grip, then make sure that your elbows are a little bit closer together, and then you can perform the curls. So it's personal preference, and just look what grip feels better for you. After that, I recommend to use a moderate rep range. So from 8 to 12, in my opinion, is the sweet spot, and always be in control of the movement. So you don't want to ego lift here. So when you are lowering the bar, keep control throughout the whole range of motion, and when you are curling up, once again, control it. So you don't want to use your momentum, swinging the weight around. It's a controlled movement without any ego lifting at all. And also the recommendation is to use an easy curl bar and not a straight bar. If you will be using a straight bar, then you have more supination at the wrist, and then at the very bottom position, it can put you in an unnatural position, and then it can increase the pressure on the tendons once again. And now a very important point is, how deep should you go? How much should you lower the bar? Should you do full range of motion, or should you do like 2/3 or 3/4 of the range of motion? Well, it depends on your personal preference. Just get into the position, do the inside grip or the outside grip, and maintain control throughout the movement. And with the empty bar, test your limits, what is comfortable for you. So you lower the bar and you observe the tension in the tendon area, and just look if the movement feels unnatural or you have any pains, and try to go at first full range of motion and then curl it back up, and just observe how the movement feels. For me personally, when I'm doing it full range of motion, full extension, I feel that the movement is not that natural for me, and I do get some pain in the tendon area, especially when the weight gets heavier. So my preference is cutting the range of motion a bit. So I do like 3/4 or 2/3 of the movement. So I'm not doing it in the full range of motion, and it's personal preference how you should approach it. So really, it's not necessary to go here full range of motion. It's perfectly fine to go 2/3 or 3/4 of the range of motion. Now, if you have an arm day, then I recommend to doing the preacher as your second exercise. So prior to it, do, for example, a shortened biased lift like the spider curl, or a mid-range biased lift like a standing easy bar curl, to warm up here your tendons, and only then do the preacher. But if you have an upper body day where you train already the back muscles, then your elbows should be already warmed up, and you can do it as your first exercise. So that should already answer the question whether this exercise is dangerous or not. It's not. It's not dangerous, especially if you are unnatural. The only thing you have to keep in mind is control throughout the whole range of motion. Don't ego lift. Use a moderate rep range, 8 to 12. Don't perform here any 1 rep maxes. So get yourself in this stable position. You lower to as much as comfortable for you the bar, and then you perform the curls and maintain control throughout the whole range of motion. Practice with inside grip, with outside grip. And if you are feeling any pain, discomfort in the tendon area, then you are doing something wrong. So if you want to tear your biceps tendon, then use a straight bar, use way too much weight, go all the way down with full range of motion and no control. And that way you will be overextending here with a weight that you cannot handle physically, and there will be just shear forces here on the tendon and it will snap. But if you are mindful of all these factors, you are controlling the weight, not using too much for you, then you will be just fine. So enough of the talking. Here I will show you one working set, how to do everything in practice. Here I will link a playlist if you are interested in more hypertrophy training videos from me. So that's it for today's video, and I will see you soon next time. Bye.